Hello and welcome to our video on long division of polynomials. When we've got an expanded polynomial written out that we need to factorise, the only way you can do it is to use long division to make sure you find all of the factors. So we're looking at something like, I might just skip down here, something like this, a fully expanded polynomial that we're trying to put back into writing out its three factors. The way we do that is through using long division. Before we get on to long division, I want to just remind you a few things from your earlier maths classes that will help you to understand your long division. So you might remember factor trees from year 7 and year 8, where you start with a number and you find two factors that multiply to make that factor tree. That number, sorry, I'm going to go 3 times 2. And there are smallest factors that you can have, so we can say 3 and 2 are factors of 6. We can rewrite this, 3 times 2 equals 6. We can rewrite it as 6 divided by 3 equals 2. And when we do that, we have the top number, the 6 in this example, is called the dividend. The bottom number is the divisor, the one you're dividing by, and the final outcome is the quotient. These words are going to become really important when we use long division, so you need to know which one is called which. A slightly more complicated version, we have 4 times 2 times 3 equals 24 if you work that one out. We can rewrite that as 24 divided by one of these factors equals the other two factors. 24 divided by one of these factors equals the other two multiplying by each other. Same thing, dividend, divisor, quotient are these two. Let's look at it with a polynomial. We've got 3 brackets of polynomials here. 3 linears multiplying by each other, and if you expand that on your calculator you would get this expansion. If we flip it around, so we take this expanded version and divide it by one of these factors, we get the other two factors is what's left over. So this is the same, dividend, divisor and quotient on this side. Sometimes when we divide numbers, they don't go in for a full amount. For example, 21 divided by 5, the way you would have written it in primary school is 4 remainder 1. Another way we could write it is 21, if we're rewriting like we did up here, 21 equals 5 times 4 plus the extra 1. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 1. So the 1 is the remainder. This is still the two factors, and this is the remainder, and this is your original dividend that you're dividing by. Sometimes when we look at this with polynomials, we end up with remainders. All you need to remember is that at the very end, when you write out your final answer, that you need to add the remainder on at the end, just like I did here. Whatever remainder you come out with when we do the problem, add it on to the end of your quotient in your final answer. For example, we've got the dividend divided by the divisor. This is what it equals, and I'll show you how to get that solution soon. So this is our quotient. And then you need to just plus the remainder on the end. A Okay, I also want you to remember how to do your short division that you would have learnt in primary school. So the example here I've got is 211 divided by 5. You might remember that you put the full number there. I like to put a tick on the end so I can see where it finishes. Put the divisor on the outside. And we start with 5 goes into 2. Can't do it. 5 goes into 21 4 times with one remainder. 5 goes into 11 twice with one remainder, and maybe you just wrote remainder 1 like that. So you could then write 211 divided by 5 equals 42 remainder 1. Or the way we've just learnt to do it would be 211 equals 42 times the divisor, which is 5, and then you plus the remainder on the end. Okay, let's look at an example of actually working through long division. I've got the steps written down the left-hand side here as we go through them, and the question is written up here in red. So this question says divide p of x equals x cubed plus 2x squared minus x plus 3 by x minus 2. So this is our dividend and this is our divisor, and we're trying to find the factors that multiply to make up this polynomial. Steps to solve. First one, set up the division, and this is how you should have done it before. I've put the dividend in here. The divisor goes on the outside, and up here will be the quotient when we fully work it out. So we can say at the end, this times this will equal this. And if we've got any remainder, we'll need to add on those remainder as well. Okay, step 1, set up their division. Done. Step 2, divide x, we're talking about this x, into x cubed. So you take the first term on the outside and divide it into this term. Don't worry about the 2 yet, just start with the x's. The way we do this is this, x into x cubed, how many times does it go in? You might like to think of it as, and I'll write this over this on the side, x times what makes x cubed, or x cubed divided by x equals what? Either of those ways will get you the same answer. Hopefully by now you've worked out x into x cubed will go x squared times. But it's okay because long division has this really cool checking point in there to make sure that you're not making a mistake. So once we've worked out we think it's x squared, we go back and we multiply it again. So x squared times the x is x cubed, and we put that underneath here. So we multiply the x squared by the x. Put the solution down underneath. These two should be the exact same number. If they're not, you've made a mistake up here and you might need to go back and just change this one slightly. Once we've got that one, we need to multiply the x squared by the minus 2, the second part of this, because we're multiplying this by all of this here. X squared times minus 2 is minus 2x squared. Once you've done that step, you need to draw a line. It can be useful to have a different color at this point. Draw a line straight under here. This is going to be quite a lengthy process, so you will need enough room on your page to get through it all. Draw a line. Next, subtract. Really important to put your subtraction sign in there. Lots of people forget it and then they get confused and they get the wrong answer. Just put it in, it's easy. Then we subtract this from this. X cubed, take away x cubed. Because I said these two should always be the same, you'll always end up with 0. Again, it's a check. If you don't, then you need to go back and check because you've made a mistake somewhere. 2, take away negative 2 is positive 4, and it's x squared. Now we need to do the last step down here. Step 6, bring down the next term. So that means you take this one, I'm just putting a dotted line to help you out, and you just copy it down there. Okay, step 7, divide x, that's this x, into negative 4x squared. So going back to what we did at the very start again. This into this. Shouldn't have that already there. X into 4x squared. You could read it as x times what makes 4x squared, or 4x squared divided by x equals what? 4x squared divided by x is plus 4x. I've got for step 8 repeat because we're going to go back to up here and keep going through each time. Next we need to multiply to check. 4x times x, 4x squared. Check that they're the same, and they are. 4x times negative 2, negative 8x. Next step, draw a line, subtract. Check these two are equal to 0. You don't need to keep writing the 0. I'm not going to write it this time. Negative 1, take away negative 8. So that's negative 1 plus 8, if you like to write it out on the side. Sometimes it helps me. Negative 1, take away negative 8. They turn into a plus. Negative 1 plus 8 is going to be 7x. And we go back to the top again. 7x, how many x's? Plus 7. 7 times x. Oh, I've forgotten a step actually. Need to bring this one down. That's why it looks a bit funny. Plus 3 on the end. 7x into x goes 7 times. 7 times x to check is 7x. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Draw a line. Put your subtraction in there. Check that they equal 0. 3 take away negative 14 is 3 plus 14, which is 17. And we've got nothing more to bring down at the end here. So our final step down here says write out your final answer in factorized form. This is how we do it. We can say this whole polynomial equals, so that was called p of x, so I might say p of x equals x minus 2, the divisor, times x squared plus 4x plus 7. And we need to remember the remainder, which is here. The remainder is the one left at the very end. We just put a plus 17 on the end for the remainder. And there we have it. Our polynomial has been factorized. Thanks for watching the video.